About 3 years ago, my 3 years younger self, which that's how time and life works, made a video on the dirtiest player in baseball, with that player being Manny Machado. At that time, he was widely viewed as that, as the dirtiest player, someone who didn't play the game in a very clean way, and what a lot also didn't view as the right way, considering he wasn't someone who would hustle. Not the guy who will probably be busting his ass down the line, beating out infield singles. I mean, he literally said that.
I'm not the type of player that's going to be Johnny Hustle and run down the line and slide to first base. That's just not my personality. That's not my cup of tea. That's not who I am.
3 years later, though, what does this look like? 3 seasons have since passed. A lot has happened with Manny and his Padres in those 3 seasons. So what's that look like now? Well, I've actually wanted to make a follow-up on that video for a long time now, considering at that time when I made that video, Machado wasn't someone I was very fond of, and I think most people definitely felt the same way. Other fans, other players. I mean, he literally was voted as the dirtiest player in baseball in a player poll back in 2019. Christian Yelich had publicly called him out as dirty months before that. That all means something. From really his early years, like in 2013, 2014 through 2021, Manny was known as basically this era's A-Rod, an asshole and baseball's biggest villain. But I feel like that's since changed. I feel like as we get further and further into his career, the less people look at Machado as a dirty player and more so just as a player. A good potential future Hall of Famer on a competitive star-studded San Diego Padres team that goes toe-to-toe with the Dodgers every year. Now, let me start with this. Everything Manny has done in the past in his younger days when he was an Oriole, when he was ironically a Dodger for half a season, everything I covered in that first video, that was all very immature and dirty, no denying that. But I do feel like there's been a shift with who he is as a player and person in the Padres clubhouse. And also in part 1, it was mostly about his pre-San Diego days. I didn't mention much about his time as a Padre, which is where I think Manny's really elevated his reputation, at least for the most part. He's become, I'm not just going to say more of a leader, no, he's become the leader on the Padres. In 2021, he confronted Fernando Tatis Jr. and had a heated argument with him in the dugout after Tatis slammed his helmet in the dugout and was mad over a strikeout. Machado could be heard in the video that was recorded by a fan yelling that it's not about you and you go play baseball. And did Machado handle this the perfect way? I don't think anyone knows the perfect way to handle a situation like this, but for Manny to tell Tatis, a 22-year-old at the time, in just his 3rd season, his first full season, that it's not about him, telling him that he can't be selfish, I mean, that's definitely a different side of Machado we hadn't seen before that moment. Machado was typically the one making it about himself and doing immature things. And he probably saw some of his younger self in Tatis, and in the heat of the moment like that wanted to keep him in check. The two ended up being fine with each other and speaking to the media together, and it was never anything personal, more so just Manny wanting to give him a harsh talk like a bigger brother. Again, it's never good for the public to see teammates go at it like that, but it's still what I felt was a moment of growth that we hadn't seen from Manny before. And Manny was only proven to be valid in having concerns for how Tatis handled things, because the very next year, 2022, ended up being the most disappointing year imaginable for Tatis. He entered spring training with a wrist injury he suffered in a dirt bike accident over the offseason, something that was originally reported as nothing serious, but after arriving in spring training, it was revealed that his wrist was broken and that he'd be missing 3 months. And a concerning part of all this was when a reporter asked Tatis about the dirt bike incident he had during the offseason, and Tatis answered, "Which one?" Well, it got worse, because after missing what ended up being the first 4 months recovering from his wrist fracture, just when he was finally about to return and was getting ready and rehabbing in the minor leagues, he tested positive for a banned substance and was suspended 80 games. So that was it. And 2022 ended up being a lost season for Tatis. He let the whole team down. He let everyone down. And so what did Manny Machado do in his absence? Exactly what a leader of a team should do, putting up the best numbers on the Padres and helping lead them to the playoffs, where they take down the 101-win Mets, 111-win rival Dodgers before falling short of a World Series appearance. But Manny specifically did everything he could, and the Padres loved what they saw, rewarding him with a massive contract extension to his already massive contract, agreeing to an 11-year extension worth $350 million. Manny was here to stay for good. He did actually become the first ever player to get ejected over a pitch clock violation, and what this clearly was confusion of the rules since it was so new. Manny got pissed, called the umpire a douchebag, and got tossed. And this wasn't the only maddening moment for Manny on the new rules. In the first year with these new rules, he got upset when he felt Brusdar Gratterall quick pitched him, arguing he wasn't ready and Gratterall needed to be more set, which is another new thing. The hitter and pitcher basically have to be making eye contact before he starts his way home. He also seemed to handle tense situations with other teams better than he used to. In 2023, after Juan Soto hit a bomb, the Pirates pitcher was upset and simply decided to fire a 98-mile-an-hour fastball behind the next man up, Machado, for it. And Machado handled it well, just basically looking back out at Perdomo, the pitcher, as he went to first, being like, really? And the umpires clearly felt it was intentional too. I mean, I don't know how anyone could see that as an accident, ejecting him. 2023 ended in disappointment for the Padres, even though they eventually got Tatis back, missing the playoffs entirely and failing to build off the hype of adding Xander Bogaerts to Juan Soto, Tatis, Machado, etc. And the offseason wouldn't look any prettier, as the Padres' beloved owner Peter Seidler would pass away. Machado, of course, owed a lot to Seidler, the man behind his massive contracts and helping invest and build good teams around him. Manny had a lot of respect for him. He called him one of the greatest humans he's ever had the privilege of knowing, acknowledging the big mark he left not just for the Padres and for baseball, but the community around him. As Seidler was very active in the San Diego community and helping out with the homeless, and Machado vowed to bring a championship to the city for him. And soon after this, Juan Soto was traded. The biggest pieces San Diego got in this trade ended up being massive in 2024, though. And with the help of Machado putting up a really good season, the Padres won 93 games and went back to the postseason, where controversy specifically found him against the Dodgers. But before all that, during the regular season, there was a specific moment that actually ended up sparking the Padres to start winning a lot that Manny played a part in. Back in June, the Nationals were upset with the way Jurickson Profar celebrated his walk-off hit against them near their dugout. And the next day, as Profar walked up to the plate, Nats catcher Keibert Ruiz started talking to him, basically telling him that he and his teammates didn't appreciate what Profar did. It wasn't anything aggressive, but I can understand Profar not appreciating it, especially with how Ruiz was patting him and touching him. Like, dude, you're not gonna lecture me, how about try getting me out instead? And Machado, who was close by, up a couple batters later, decided to intervene, and I think this was completely appropriate for Manny to do. He didn't come in very aggressively either, he just did what a leader should do. He sees the other team saying stuff to his teammate, someone who's clearly not happy with it, so he decides to come in and say, you're not going to talk to him like that, back off. And what made it even better and more of a leadership moment for Machado was what he'd do when he came up, which was immediately smack a 2-run bomb to put the Padres up. I mean, that's perfect. You defend your guys by telling the other guys to back off your guy and then probably make them pay on the field by smacking a home run. It's the postseason where people started putting Manny under a negative and dirty light again. In Game 2 between the Padres and Dodgers, Tatis would get plunked in the 6th inning by Jack Flaherty, who he homered off earlier in the game. This didn't make Manny very happy, and after striking out against Jack Flaherty, Flaherty would get all fired up and tell Manny to sit the F down, mother bleeper. That also definitely didn't make Manny very happy, who actually didn't even see Flaherty say this in the moment, but he quickly started yelling back at Flaherty in the dugout. Then the roles reversed, and now Manny was on the field, Flaherty in the dugout, and the two were yelling at each other, with Manny being caught telling Flaherty to meet him in the parking lot. But it's what happened right before this that led to this and became such a big story. Before the inning began, Machado threw a baseball at the Dodgers dugout. Now, it's normal for players to throw a ball to the dugout because the ball boy then gets it, and you just get rid of the warm-up balls they use in between innings. But this ball came in a little hotter than usual. It had some more zip on it for sure. And here's probably what the case was. Do I think Machado's intention was to smoke one of the Dodger players in the dugout? No. But I do believe he was trying to send a little message out of anger. There definitely was something to it. The ball ended up just skipping and hitting the dugout railing. Nobody was hurt or anything. But Dodgers manager Dave Roberts ended up calling the incident unsettling and said he believed there was intent behind it, calling it disrespectful. Now, here's what the situation was, and Manny even kind of confirmed this in his own words. Machado said, when you try to hit our best hitter, you can't get him out, don't hit him, obviously referring to Tatis. They got the best player in the game, right? Ohtani? We don't go out there and try to hit Ohtani, we try to get him out. Don't go out there and try to hit my guy. So to me, that implies Machado was angry about Tatis getting hit, and as a result, was sending a message to the Dodger dugout afterward by throwing the warm-up ball with a little itty-titty bit of heat more than usual. But again, I don't think he meant to hit or hurt anyone. The league did actually look into the incident, and no punishments were given to Manny. And after the series ended, not in a good way for Machado and his Padres, as they got shut out for the final 24 innings of the series, Dave Roberts came out and basically said that he only used the Machado situation as a way to fire his players up and help them win. I guess it kind of worked. They won the series in the freaking World Series, but I also think this shows the Machado ball incident, was not that big of a deal. Now, is it a little dirty to throw a baseball kind of hard toward the opposing dugout, like harder than usual? Yeah, it does seem like something the Manny Machado of years past would have done, but I also feel like the Manny Machado of years past would have also done a lot worse. I mean, nobody got hurt, the ball wasn't thrown that hard, and Dave Roberts himself brushed it off after the series was over as just a diversion to get the boys fired up. It really does seem like the worst thing Manny has done since becoming a Padre is his bets. In his first year as a Padre during a game in LA, a fan who was sitting right up near the field recorded himself telling Manny, who was on the on-deck circle, that he made a mistake not signing with the Dodgers, only for Manny to respond to the fan by betting his entire contract that he and the Padres will win a World Series before they do.
Come on, you could have had it all with LA.
It's my contract.
What?
We'll win a World Series before you guys do.
Skip ahead 5 years, and we have a camera on Manny right now, aged like the finest of milk. But hey, again, seems like the worst decision he's made in years, meaning you don't have to like the guy, but Manny Machado has undoubtedly matured and become a real leader of a player and person at this point in his career. Let me know your thoughts, and thank you for watching.